Do you remember when boredom felt different? Not the restless kind that sends you reaching for your phone, but the slow, quiet kind that settled into the corners of the house on a long afternoon. There was no endless scrolling, no background noise humming from every room, just ticking clocks, sunlight on the floor, and time wide open. And somehow, our grandmothers were never bored. They didn't chase entertainment. They created purpose. They turned ordinary days into something steady and meaningful, using nothing more than their hands, their homes, and a little imagination. Tonight, we're stepping back into those living rooms and kitchens to rediscover 15 things old American grandmas did to beat boredom that we forgot today. 1. Gentle mending. When a shirt tore or a sock thinned at the heel, it wasn't the end of its life. It was the start of an evening ritual. Grandma would pull out her sewing tin, thread a needle with steady hands, and quietly bring fabric back to life. Mending filled time with focus and satisfaction, and it saved money without ever feeling like sacrifice. Today, instead of tossing small repairs aside, try fixing something simple. You might find that restoring an object also restores a sense of usefulness. 2. Letter writing. Before texts and quick replies, there were letters written slowly at the kitchen table. Grandma chose her words carefully, describing the weather, the garden, the children. Writing connected her to people beyond her walls and gave her something to look forward to when she checked the mailbox. Try writing one thoughtful letter or card this month. The anticipation alone can make a week feel fuller. 3. Garden tending. Even the smallest backyard had purpose. A few tomato plants, some beans climbing a fence, herbs and old coffee tins. Grandma stepped outside daily, watering, trimming, inspecting leaves like a quiet caretaker. Gardening wasn't just about food. It was about watching progress. Growth gave shape to the day. Even a small windowsill plant can bring that same rhythm back. 4. Slow baking. When the house felt too quiet, flour dusted the countertop. Bread dough was kneaded by hand, cookies shaped one by one, pies assembled with patient care. Baking stretched across hours, filling the air with warmth and purpose. It turned idle time into something generous. Even baking a simple loaf from scratch today can transform an empty afternoon into something comforting. 5. Room refresh. Grandma didn't redecorate, she rearranged. A chair angled toward the sunlight. A lamp moved closer to her favorite reading spot. Curtains swapped seasonally. Without buying anything new, she made her home feel new again. Sometimes boredom isn't about needing more. It's about seeing what you already have differently. 6. Radio hours. The radio wasn't background noise. It was an event. Afternoon programs, evening music, serialized dramas. Each had its time. Grandma planned her chores around her favorite broadcasts. She listened fully, without multitasking. Try choosing one podcast or show and giving it your complete attention. You may find it feels more like companionship than distraction. 7. Yarn work. Knitting needles clicked softly in the evenings. Crocheted blankets grew row by row. Quilts formed from scraps that once belonged to dresses, curtains, or children's shirts. Handwork gave restless hands something steady to do and produced something lasting. Even learning a small craft today can replace idle scrolling with visible progress. 8. Deep polishing. When boredom crept in, Grandma polished. Silverware gleamed. Wooden tables were rubbed with oil. Windows were wiped until sunlight poured through clearly. It wasn't frantic cleaning, it was careful care. Maintaining her home gave her pride and control. Pick one overlooked corner in your home and restore it. The difference can be surprisingly satisfying. 9. Food preserving. In season, nothing went to waste. Grandma canned peaches, pickled cucumbers, stirred berry jam, while steam fogged the kitchen windows. The pop of ceiling lids felt like accomplishment. Preserving food stretched summer into winter and filled long afternoons with intention. Even prepping meals ahead or freezing fresh produce can bring back that feeling of readiness. 10. Neighbor visits. Boredom rarely survived a short walk down the road. Grandma might bring a pie, return a borrowed dish, or simply sit for coffee at a neighbor's table. These visits weren't scheduled weeks in advance. They were spontaneous and warm. Reaching out to someone nearby today can turn an ordinary afternoon into a shared memory. 11. Book rereads. Grandma didn't rush through books. She reread favorites, lingering over familiar passages like old friends. The pages soften with time. Notes sometimes line the margins. Reading wasn't about finishing quickly, it was about settling in. Revisiting a beloved book can feel more grounding than starting something new. 12. Memory sorting. On quiet days, photo boxes came down from high shelves. Letters tied with ribbon were untied and reread. Recipe cards, faded and stained, were shuffled gently. Sorting memories wasn't dwelling on the past, it was honoring it. Organizing old photos or keepsakes today can reconnect you to stories you may have forgotten. 13. Meal planning. Grandma filled time by planning ahead. She checked pantry shelves, wrote grocery lists, and thought carefully about Sunday dinners. Anticipating meals gave structure to the week. Even mapping out a few thoughtful dinners can create rhythm in a modern schedule that often feels chaotic. 14. Skill teaching. When children visited, Grandma didn't hand them a device. She handed them a task. Folding laundry properly, rolling biscuit dough, threading a needle. Teaching filled her time and passed down confidence. Sharing even one small skill with someone younger today can turn boredom into legacy. 15. Quiet sitting. Perhaps the most forgotten habit of all, sitting without needing noise. Grandma could rock gently on the porch, watching the light change across the yard. No television, no phone, just observation and thought. She didn't fear silence, she trusted it. Even 10 minutes of intentional stillness can feel surprisingly full. Final thoughts. Our grandmothers didn't defeat boredom with entertainment. They softened it with purpose. They understood that empty hours weren't problems to solve, they were spaces to shape. Through small rituals, steady hands, and meaningful habits, they built days that felt complete without ever being busy in the modern sense. Maybe we don't need more stimulation. Maybe we just need better rhythms. If this reminded you of someone special or inspired you to slow down just a little, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to American Restored, because some of the best ways to live are the ones we almost forgot.